Pauline folds the letter before the ink is fully dry, knowing once it's sent, she can't take it back. She's asking the one man she never thought she'd need again. And before the answer comes, the cost is already hers. In a Nevada town small enough to hear fear move through it, the railroad doesn't arrive with noise. It arrives with papers, deadlines, and men who don't ask permission. Pauline runs the schoolhouse. She's used to order, to standing alone, to solving problems without calling for help. When families begin losing their land, the town looks to her because she doesn't flinch. But resolve isn't the same as force. So she writes to Rafe, a man she knew before her marriage, before she chose a quieter life, a man who understands violence well enough to keep it from spreading. When he comes, she doesn't explain why she called him, and he doesn't ask, because some requests carry a price, and Pauline already knows she may have to pay it twice. Pauline seals the envelope at her desk as dust lifts outside. The schoolhouse smells of wood and chalk. Afternoon heat presses through the open windows. She stands, smooths the paper once more. Does not reopen it. The name on the front is written clearly. Rafe. No town, no apology. Footsteps pass outside. Voices lower when they reach the door. Everyone knows why she's been writing. They know she doesn't ask lightly. Pauline steps onto the porch. Wind pulls at her sleeve. The street looks the same as it always has. Quiet, orderly, pretending not to notice the railroad men posted near the store. She walks toward the hitching rail where the mail rider waits, reins loose in his hands. "Morning," he says, though it's past noon. She nods and holds out the envelope. Her fingers stay on it a moment too long. The rider doesn't rush her. He's learned better. "This needs to go," she says. He takes it. Leather creaks as he tucks it into his bag. The sound lands heavier than she expects. "Anything coming back?" he asks. "Yes," she answers, then stops. "If there is." The rider mounts and turns his horse. Dust rises again, soft and final. Pauline watches until the street settles. She does not wave. Inside, men gather by the benches she built with her own hands. They wait for instruction. She gives it. She always does. Organizing committees, setting meeting times, teaching calm where fear wants to grow. But when the room empties, the silence costs more. The letter is gone now. And whether help comes or not, she has already asked. Rafe rides in at dusk, dust clinging to his coat. Pauline sees him from the schoolhouse window before the bell finishes ringing. He dismounts without hurry. The horse knows him. The street quiets the way it does around men who carry consequence with them. She steps outside. Lamplight spills behind her, catching the edge of her sleeve. He looks older, not worn, settled. His hat stays on. "You got my letter?" "Yes." That is all she offers. He waits, eyes steady, giving her space to choose more. She doesn't. The moment stretches, then passes. Men gather near the well. They don't crowd him. They recognize what he is without being told. Rafe turns slightly, assessing them, then looks back at Pauline. "Where do you want me?" he asks. "At the range. Tomorrow morning." He nods once. No questions. No price named. They walk the length of the street together. Not close, not apart. Footsteps fall into the same rhythm by accident. A year ago, she might have noticed sooner. Now she notices and lets it be. At the edge of town, he stops. "I'll need ammunition and time." "You'll have both." He studies her face, as if measuring what she hasn't said. The lamplight doesn't soften anything. "And you?" he asks. "What do you need?" She meets his gaze, holds it. Results. Rafe tips his hat, finally. He turns toward the boarding house without another word. Pauline remains where she is until the sound of his steps fades. She has what she asked for, and already it's asking something back. Rafe sets the targets before the men arrive. Morning heat rises off the earth. Wood posts thud into place. He works without an audience, sleeves rolled, movements spare. When the townsmen gather, he doesn't greet them. He hands out rifles, shows stance, corrects hands with brief pressure. Leather creaks, breath steadies. Pauline stands back at first, counting heads, taking names, assigning watch times. She speaks clearly. Calm carries better than force. A shot cracks, then another. Dust jumps from the berm. Rafe doesn't praise. He adjusts. He waits until a man gets it right, then moves on. Confidence grows without ceremony. By mid-morning, sweat darkens shirts. Fear thins. Men stop looking over their shoulders. They begin to look forward. Pauline steps closer. Rafe notices without turning. "They'll hold," he says quietly. "They have to." A man flinches at a misfire. Rafe stills him with a hand to the shoulder. "Again." The man does. The shot lands true. Relief moves through the line like breath released. Pauline watches that moment. She files it away. This is what she needed. Not bravado. Control. They break for water. Rafe wipes his hands on a cloth. He finally looks at her. "You're running this." "Yes." "You always did." The words land between them. Not accusation. Not praise. Fact. She doesn't reply. Instead, she calls the men back. Work resumes. The sun climbs. The town begins to look different under it. When the session ends, the men linger. They talk quietly. Plans form. Rafe steps aside, letting it happen without him. Pauline meets his eyes once more. Gratitude is there. So is something older. She looks away first. What she's building needs him. What she feels might cost him. Pauline calls the meeting as the lamps are lit. Chairs scrape across the schoolhouse floor. Fabric rustles as men and women settle in. Heat lingers from the day, held close by the walls. Rafe stands near the back, hat low, presence felt without being announced. Pauline opens the ledger. Names, properties, timelines. She speaks without raising her voice. People lean in. Fear shifts, becoming something usable. A railroad agent arrives uninvited. He doesn't sit. He smiles too easily. "This isn't necessary. The company's generous." Rafe doesn't move. He doesn't speak. He watches. Pauline closes the ledger. "Then you won't mind waiting. We'll answer together." Murmurs rise. A man stands, then another. Stories follow. Deadlines shortened. Fences moved overnight. Children displaced. The agent's smile tightens. He glances toward Rafe, measures him, misjudges the silence. "This town should consider consequences." Pauline steps forward. The floor creaks under her boots. "We have. That's why we're still here." Rafe finally shifts, just enough to be seen. His hand rests near his belt. Nothing more. The message lands anyway. The agent leaves. The door closes harder than intended. Breath releases across the room. People look to Pauline. Not for permission, for direction. She gives it. Committees form. Watches are set. The town speaks with one voice for the first time. When the room empties, Rafe approaches. "You didn't need me there." "I did. Just not how they think." He studies her. Heat and lamplight catch his face. Something passes between them. Respect sharpened by restraint. Outside, night settles. Together they've shifted the ground. Neither says what that might mean later. Rafe checks the perimeter before dawn, footsteps quiet in the dust. Pauline joins him near the far fence. Morning is cool. Breath shows, then fades. Neither comments on how easily this has become routine. "They're watching," he says, eyes on the road. I know, so are we. They walk the boundary together. He points out sight lines. She notes where people will stand, where children won't. Their words stay practical. Their silence does more work. A wagon rattles past. Heads turn, then don't. The town holds. It's new. It's fragile. At the range, a man misses twice. Rafe waits, adjusts the grip. The third shot lands. No cheer, just a nod. Calm spreads again. Pauline gathers the women under the cottonwood. She assigns meals, messages, night watches, hands move, fabric pulls taut. Order settles where panic once sat. By midday, a railroad scout appears at the edge of town. He counts, he leaves. Heat shimmers in his wake. Rafe watches him go. They're deciding. So are we. Later, in the schoolhouse, they stand by the map she's drawn. Lines mark land, not dreams. Rafe traces one with a finger, careful not to smudge. You'll hold if they push. We will. Then, quieter. With you here. He looks at her then. Really looks. The room holds its breath. I'm not the reason. No, but you're part of it. The bell rings for nothing at all. A habit, a comfort. Outside, the town moves without flinching. Inside, Pauline feels the weight of asking and the steadiness of being answered. What she built is standing. What she's risking is closer than before. The railroad men arrive at noon and leave before the bell rings. Pauline watches from the schoolhouse steps as the agent reads the notice aloud. His voice carries, then thins. He folds the paper. His smile doesn't return. We'll revisit. No one answers him. Men stand where they were told to stand. Women keep their places. Rifles stay lowered. The town breathes, steady and deliberate. The agent mounts. Wheels. Turn. Dust lifts and settles again. Only then do shoulders ease. Not cheers, not celebration. Just the sound of work resuming. A door closing. A bucket set down. Rafe steps back from the street. The tension leaves him last. He adjusts his coat, already separating himself from what he helped hold. Pauline turns to him. It's done. For now. They walk inside. Lamplight waits, though it's still day. The schoolhouse feels smaller without the pressure pressing in. You should stay, at least a while. Rafe studies the map on the wall. The marks are neat. The plan is solid. He's no longer necessary to it. They won't push today, and you won't need me tomorrow. That isn't... She stops, corrects herself. You were part of this. He nods, accepts the truth without claiming more. I came because you asked, not because I belong here. Silence stretches. Breath. Wood ticking as it cools. Pauline feels the shape of the moment closing. She knows how to hold a line. She doesn't know how to cross one. Outside, the town moves on. Inside, Rafe reaches for his hat. The fight has paused, and already the leaving has begun. Pauline finds him at the boarding house packing his saddle. Leather lies open on the bed, fabric folded tight. The room smells of dust and soap. Rafe doesn't look surprised when she steps inside. You're leaving? Yes. He tightens a strap, checks it twice. The habit steadies him. You could stay. The town would want it. He pauses. Not long. Long enough. And you? She looks at the window instead of him. Light moves across the floor. The answer forms and doesn't leave her mouth. I don't ask lightly. I know. He sets the saddle down, turns fully toward her. His voice stays even. Am I here to stand watch or to stand beside you? The question lands clean. No softness to hide in. No urgency to rush her. Pauline breathes in, holds it. She has led meetings, faced men with guns. She has asked a town to risk itself. This is smaller. This is harder. I can't promise more trouble, or less. Rafe waits. He always has. She says nothing else. Outside, a wagon passes. Footsteps fade. The world does not pause for her answer. Rafe nods once, acceptance, not resentment. He lifts the saddle. That's what I needed to know. She steps aside, makes room the way she always does, for plans, for people, for necessity. When he passes her, his shoulder brushes her sleeve. Fabric catches, then releases. Rafe walks out without looking back. Pauline stands alone in the room, hands still at her sides. She asked him to come. And when it mattered most, she asked nothing more. Pauline rings the school bell the next morning as if nothing changed. The sound carries over the street. Wood doors open. Footsteps answer. The town gathers the way it has learned to, steady, unafraid, practiced. Rafe's horse is gone from the hitching rail. The absence sits plainly where it belongs. Pauline does not look twice. She runs the meeting, assigns watches, revisits the ledger. Her voice stays even. Her hands do not shake. If anyone notices the difference, they don't name it. At the range, a man corrects another's stance without being asked. The lesson holds. Pauline watches, then turns away. This is what she wanted. This is what she built. By afternoon, the railroad scout returns alone. He measures again. He leaves again. Heat shimmers where his wagon was. The town exhales. Relief settles into habit. Pauline walks the perimeter at dusk. Wind lifts dust at her feet. She stops where Rafe once stood, marking sightlines with a finger. She does not move the stake he set. It stays where it is, useful and exact. Inside the schoolhouse, lamplight waits. She straightens benches, folds fabric left from the meeting. The room holds the shape of voices no longer there. She sits at her desk. Ink, paper, pen, all within reach. Pauline touches the paper once, then she folds it blank and sets it aside. The motion costs more than the writing ever did. Outside, the town settles into night without fear. She has kept them standing. And she has kept herself alone. Pauline closes the schoolhouse door against the first winter wind. Snow hasn't come yet, but the cold carries it. Breath shows longer now. The town has learned to move with fewer words. Watches rotate. Rifles stay clean. Meetings shorten. What was urgent becomes routine. A year passes in ledgers and seasons. The railroad does not return. Not at first. People begin to believe the ground has settled for good. Children grow taller. Fences are mended instead of moved. Calm turns into confidence. Pauline keeps the school running, lessons by day, planning by night. She sleeps lightly, always has. At the range, men practice less often but better. No one waits for instruction anymore. That steadiness should feel like victory. Some evenings, Pauline walks past the boarding house without slowing. The window stays dark. Someone else rents the room. Someone else uses the hitching rail. She does not ask where Rafe went. Asking would change nothing. In spring, a letter arrives addressed to no one in particular. A notice, formal and polite. The railroad intends to resume negotiations. Surveyors will arrive by summer. Pauline reads it once. Then again, the weight is familiar. The town will look to her. She will organize. She will hold the line. Ink and paper sit on her desk that night. She lights the lamp. She sharpens the pen. She does not write. Morning comes anyway. The town is ready. She tells herself she is too. Pauline reads the railroad notice aloud as boots gather outside. Wind presses against the schoolhouse walls. Paper rustles in her hands. The words are clean, polite, final. Surveyors by week's end. Terms unchanged. Faces turned toward her. Not pleading, expectant. The town has learned what to do when she speaks. She lays out the plan. Watches doubled. Committees reformed. Messengers assigned. Her voice stays level. Calm moves through the room like it used to. A man clears his throat. Should we send for him? He doesn't say Rafe's name. He doesn't need to. The room stills. Even the wind seems to wait. Pauline closes the notice and sets it down. Her fingers leave a crease along the edge. We know how to stand. We've done it before. That was with him, someone says. Not accusation. Memory. She meets their eyes. One by one. We built this. Not one man. They nod. Accept it. Trust her. The meeting moves on. Later, alone, Pauline walks the boundary at dusk. Dust lifts around her boots. Stakes remain where Rafe set them. Straight, useful, waiting. She stops where the road bends, where a rider would appear first. Ink and paper wait back at the desk. The pen is sharp. Writing would be easy, honest even. She turns away. When the surveyors arrive 2 days later, the town meets them in place. Rifles visible, voices steady. No hired guns this time, just pressure. Patient and persistent. The railroad men take notes. They leave. Again. Pauline stands until the road empties. She has chosen not to ask. And the ground holds, for now. Pauline watches the railroad wagon disappear beyond the ridge. Dust settles. Wind moves through dry grass. The town breaks formation without being told. Doors open. Work resumes. No one celebrates. No one needs to. She walks back to the schoolhouse alone. The key turns. Wood creaks. Lamplight fills the room she knows better than any other place. On her desk sits the pen she sharpened days ago. Paper lies beside it, still clean. She touches neither. A knock sounds at the door. One of the men steps in, hat in hand. They won't be back soon, not after today. She nods. Good. He hesitates. You could have sent for him. Yes. You didn't. No. He accepts that, thanks her, leaves. Evening comes without ceremony. Pauline straightens benches that don't need it. She checks the ledger, though nothing's changed. Habit steadies her when choice no longer can. She steps outside. The town holds its ground, quiet and intact. Children pass her, laughing. Families move freely where fear once stood. At the edge of the street, she stops where Rafe once paused before leaving. The stake he set is still there. She presses it deeper into the earth with her boot. It holds. Pauline exhales. The sound is small. Final. If you love stories like this, you're welcome here. Subscribe if you want more Western romances. And if this story stayed with you, you can say so in the comments. I'll see it. I'm your narrator, John. Until the next road.